What's up, all you beautiful people with no responsibilities? And welcome back to another episode of our
Of the
podcast.
No Responsibilities Podcast, episode 5.
Yes. And today, we're going to be talking about Wavves with two V's.
This is the California, what are they?
Garage rock.
Garage rock, garage punk, garage band.
West Coast influenced.
Formed in 2008 by Nathan Williams, who originally recorded their first two LPs on GarageBand. Then were professionally recorded King of the Beach in 2010 with his friend Stephen Pope
Yes.
and others.
Breakout album for them.
So let's get right into that. We're probably not going to go too much into their first two albums. We got a time limit, folks. We're going to go right into King of the Beach. Let's just talk
King
about
of
this
the
excellent
Beach.
record.
Yes.
Dang,
Very
is
good.
it good.
Dang, is it good. So, when I first heard King of the Beach, I was immediately...
Sent to the beach
No.
mentally.
Well, yeah. But I was I was immediately very, just captured by their sound. I mean, there had been other bands at that point that were doing the same thing they were doing, but they just did it right. And they just hit all the right...
I think it is safe to say they were one of the first of the kind of current wave of that style of music.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
That they were kind of pioneered, one of the first. However, there were other bands, maybe slightly before them.
Yeah.
But they just did it the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard King of the Beach I found it on Reddit, and yeah, it was so good. Like, at that point, I hadn't heard anything like that, because all those years ago, I was still kind of just listening to the super mainstream bands. Like, that was probably one of the first more, not underground, but independent bands I ever heard.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'd never heard anything that sounded like this, other than maybe like some 60s surf music, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But so I was just blown away by that first song.
Yeah.
And then immediately I went and checked out other songs off that record, like Green Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Let's pull this record up here.
For me, the songs that just really got me into this album were obviously the first song, King of the Beach. I really enjoyed Green Eyes, like you mentioned.
Post Acid, I love.
Baseball Cards.
Oh,
that
yeah.
song. Such a good song.
It's such a great record.
Yeah.
And it's one of those albums that really transports me physically. I just feel like I'm on the streets of LA in 2010 when I hear this record.
I think that's what makes really good albums, is albums that they're not just enjoyable music. They're enjoyable music mixed with something that you can listen to and forget about your problems.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm where I am. I almost have memories of being in this album from when I think back to it.
Yeah. And one of the things that made this so memorable to me was just the mixture of the guitar tones and Nathan's vocals. I think that's one of Wavves' most powerful aspects, is that combination is just so... I just it just fills your ears up, and it's just perfect. It's the way that those two things go together.
Yeah, and I also just love how lo-fi this record is.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not anywhere near as lo-fi as their first two records, but it's really the perfect blend of that almost homemade feel, but without it sounding like a amateur album.
Right.
Because it was done in a studio, but it's really got the best of both worlds. It feels like it could have been a mixtape.
Totally.
But in the most cohesive way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I just love the album art. I used to have a T-shirt with this album cover on it that I wore all the time. I don't know where it went. I lost
was about to say, I thought
where'd that shirt go? I love
you
that
said
shirt.
used to. I was like, I thought you still have that
Well,
shirt.
I lost it.
Oh, okay.
A few months ago. Anyway, I just love the artwork. I got the vinyl. I have all the records on vinyl. That's my... I'm not saying that in a show-off way. I just happen to own them all on vinyl. And I just love the artwork. It's perfect.
I think it was just the full package. I mean, I know the album cover doesn't necessarily affect how good the music is, but it just, everything about this album, from the cover down to the lyrics, the type of music, it was just all fit in this kind of I don't want to say trend. It's just this new style this new sort of fashion,
Yeah.
which was like this kind of, forget about life. Let's like
Mhm.
go to the beach and like have some beers
Yeah,
and
so it's like
just
your classic
like
like beach bum, like
yeah,
enjoy life, screw around album. Just
yeah.
it's
And there's been a few bands that had that sort of influence, but like obviously surf rock and like that
Mhm.
type of bands. But Waves kind of more incorporated like almost not yeah, I do want to say like kind of the depressive like fringe, like on the fringes of society,
Mhm.
like mixed with the beach bum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's where the surf punk
Mm-hmm.
comes in. You've got the punk side of this, that kind of like outcast, living outside of society
Mm-hmm.
feel, but with the beachy end of it. And then I think they definitely go towards more of that kind of depressing side on the EP they put out the year following this, Life Sucks, which definitely does take this more into a more miserable, grungy side of it
Mm-hmm.
on that record.
Um, and Life Sucks is my personal favorite project that Wavves has ever released, which is it being that's kind of a weird situation to be in because Nathan hates that album.
Yeah, he
Um,
said somewhere that he doesn't like the album,
yeah,
and it's kind of obvious because they don't play these songs live.
which makes absolutely no sense to me because while I haven't listened extensively to all of Waves' work, like I've listened to a lot of it, from like the 85% that I have heard, to me, Life Sucks is some of the best examples of what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just like it's only 6 songs, but there isn't a song on here that I don't like.
5 songs.
No, it's 6.
It's a bonus track,
Oh, right.
live song. Anyway, yeah, and it is strange because even in the Weezer, the Waves fan base, it is a bit split. A lot of people don't like this album
Yeah,
in the fan base, and a lot of people like us love it.
yeah.
Like I wish they continued this sound.
Yeah. I guess I was about to say I couldn't understand why if you're a fan of Waves you wouldn't like this, but that's being a little close-minded. Um, yeah, I can see why some people compared to their other work they wouldn't enjoy it, but like this just has all the right things for me. I mean, there's a point on the song Pour Lenore where there's a transition from the verse to the chorus where um all the instruments just cut out and it's just the
Mm-hmm.
vocals for a split second and then it goes into the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just little things like that that really just drive like it's just
It's just
so
the musicianship
harmonious.
and the
Yeah.
songwriting on this album is so well put together.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, I just love how it continues the feel of King of the Beach, but as I said, does take it into the dredges.
Mm-hmm.
It's fuzzier, messier,
Yeah.
and even on Wikipedia, one of the descriptions of this record I noticed is grunge.
Yeah.
So it definitely does have. I wouldn't. It's not grunge album, but it definitely does have that.
Yeah.
And this is the period where Nathan was listening to a lot of Nirvana,
Oh yeah.
and that continues into the album after this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
And speaking of album art, this is my favorite album art. Like maybe for any music of the past like 5 years, I just love this art. Just a little side note there, but
also interestingly, the song "I Want to Meet Dave Grohl," one of their most famous tracks, Nathan really hates because every interview they've ever done, someone says, "So, did you guys meet Dave Grohl?"
I'm inventive and funny.
Yeah, and they're like, "No, they never met him."
Yeah,
But still, I hope they meet him eventually.
I hope so too because
I'm surprised they haven't been on a festival together at any point.
I'm surprised that Dave hasn't at least heard the song and then like at least tweeted them or something.
Dave doesn't use Twitter. I bet he's probably
Yeah.
heard it. He must. Someone's mentioned it. If we meet Dave at some point, we're mentioning him in this song. We're saying you gotta
Yeah,
take these guys out on tour.
I mean, Waves is big enough that there's no way he hasn't heard the song or someone hasn't mentioned it to him.
Yeah, there's no way.
I also just want to say that something like I love King of the Beach, but one something about that album is there are like thematically some of the songs are very similar,
Mm-hmm.
but with Life Sucks, the EP, like every song is so interesting lyrically. Like every song is some weird, quirky,
Mm-hmm.
like different type of story that I'm really like interested in listening to. And yeah, that's another thing that makes the EP just really engaging to me.
Yeah. I mean, if you look back to King of the Beach, that is one criticism I might have is there's a few songs that are a bit kind of basic and
Mm-hmm.
lyrically confused. But
Yeah,
this album, even though it's only 4 or 5 songs, um, they're top quality.
yeah.
And then they waited 2 years. They put out Afraid of Heights. Again, this is another album that is a lot of people love it. A lot of people don't like it. It's their most different sounding album. It was a lot cleaner, a bit more catchy in their singles, a bit more poppy. I absolutely love this album. I think it's their best album in my opinion. I literally like every song on it. It's just it's like it's you know it's just so
Get it out there, guy.
it starts with Sail to the Sun. The album it flows perfectly. But Jacob, you haven't heard this album. What the hell? He's never heard it.
Okay,
We can't discuss it.
I've obviously heard like I've heard
like
songs off of it.
do you recognize any of this?
I No, it's a shame. It's a real shame. I haven't like given this album a chance. Not because I like don't want to. I've listened to their other stuff so much that I just like keep forgetting to get onto this. I don't know if other people can relate to this, but when it comes to when I like listen to a band, I just go through album phases, and when I'm on a certain album, I don't listen to anything else. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
that's the album I'm listening to. And when it comes to Wavves, I'm still like I was just stuck on King of the Beach, Life Sucks, and V for so long that I've just never gotten around to Afraid of Heights, but I really need to. It's a shame that I haven't.
Yeah, so get on that. It's continues. It's got that grungy vibe still. A lot cleaner though than Life Sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And the song, it's got a lot of like not really dreamy, but really like vibey songs on it. Like I Can't Dream and Everything Is My Fault. Very depressing. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll move on because Jacob hasn't heard it, but maybe one day we will dive back into this record.
Just want to take a quick break to talk about Nathan's Instagram, which is which is just the Waves Instagram. But I don't know around which album era it started, but he just makes I wouldn't say weird. Okay, they're kind of weird. Just some of the strangest Instagram posts. They're all like him either in a like lounge chair by a pool sun tanning with a Rolex
Yeah.
or like something like I don't like
Well,
how
he's
much
living the dream.
how much
He's got
money
a California
I know.
beach house.
But like, how much money does a band like Waves make? They're not that huge. Like, I'm like, where are you affording all this expensive
Well, he
stuff?
owns that record label too, Ghost Ramp.
Oh, true. And they do have a pretty popular apparel store,
Yeah.
Ghost Ramp, that
I
is
don't know.
independent from
Mm-hmm.
Wave. I mean, they have Waves apparel, but they make just Ghost Ramp branded stuff.
Yeah.
So I
that
guess
probably
he
helps.
probably rakes it in, but
Yeah.
it's just
And they're no Guns N' Roses, but
yeah. But
I can see where he's getting the money.
his Instagram, he's just flexing on everybody all the time.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if I like him as a person.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of interviews, and he's a funny guy, but yeah, he's got a bit of a weird vibe to him. But we like his tunes, so
Yeah.
we don't care. Yeah, let's go into V. I don't know if it's supposed to be pronounced 5 or I mean it's their 5th record.
I
So
mean,
it's probably supposed to be pronounced 5, but I've never heard anyone say it. So
they did have an album in between Afraid of Heights and V, by the way, but it's a collaboration album, so
oh
we're
yeah,
not gonna
that
talk about
yeah
it.
they did
Yeah,
a
with
album
Cloud
yeah,
Nothings. Yeah.
it was okay, but not we're gonna skip over that one
Yeah. But V,
or 5.
yeah, or 5. It was kind of a weird album to me because got a lot of shit for being kind of messy and lazy. I saw a lot of people criticizing the vocals on it, especially for being kind of just like he wasn't really trying for this record. but I just don't agree. I don't agree with that personally. I really enjoy this album. I think it's. I guess if you were looking at their older work and you were judging this compared to that, I could see how that's a valid criticism. But when I was listening to this album, and I was just kind of thinking about it on its own, I liked how off the beaten path they went with this. It's a lot heavier. It's a lot darker. It's just really gritty. Like the songs like My Head Hurts is a very good example of this. It's just like if you just kind of heard it in the distance, like the instruments mash together so much because everything's so grainy that it just sounds like one big sound. Like you can't discern between the instruments.
Yeah.
But when you have nice pair of headphones on and you're just listening to these songs, like they're just nice and heavy and I don't know, they just kind of vibrate your brain.
I don't think I love this album as much as you do. I do see a drop in quality.
Yeah.
When I compare this to Afraid of Heights and the two before that, it's got good songs, but it does have a few not so good songs.
Yeah,
also it doesn't vary as much. Like Afraid of Heights had a lot of different tones. It had real punky songs. It had some really mellow, sad songs. It had the weird, vibey songs. This one is a lot more straightforward, and I think coming off an album like that and then going into something that's just more of a straightforward, messy punk record again,
I guess that's where the division between like objectively good, album structure and art, like kind of differs between like just something that you like, because for this album, I just like the sound they went with, and I just like that type of music. So even though like I agree a lot of the songs sound the same and it's very straightforward on the theme, there's not a lot of variation. Like while objectively that's not the best thing if you're going for like an album that is in your top tier. But for me, because I enjoyed that, like I enjoy that sound, I didn't mind that it was all the same. And I also agree that there are some kind of filler, not so good songs. To me, the best songs on the album, or the songs that I really like, are the first two songs are really good. Heavy Metal Detox, Way Too Much.
Yeah.
I like All the Same, My Head Hurts. Heart Attack is a good song. Wait, and I think Crybaby. But Tarantula, Flame Aziz, or however you say it, Red Lead, Pony. I wasn't a huge fan of those songs.
Yeah, that's pretty much the songs I didn't like. I like Pony, but the rest of those, I don't even remember how they go.
Yeah.
So it just, that's what I was getting to. It does have some unmemorable tracks as well as less variation, but the songs that are good are very good.
Yeah. I also, their live performances, I've heard, are incredible.
Yeah, let's talk about their live stuff for a bit. Their shows are insane.
Nuts. Yeah.
They came to Calgary for Sled Island about 2 years ago, and I don't know why I didn't go.
Yeah.
Because it was crazy. I had some friends go. He stage dove.
Yeah.
Like
Why are you sounding like a stuttering dumb this episode?
Because I have so much I want to say. It's a punk show, man. There's moshing. There's people being crazy. I love it.
I've seen some crazy videos. I have a group of friends who drove down to Seattle to see Wavves. They were playing there, and these friends live in Calgary, and they drove all the way down to Seattle just to see Wavves, and they stayed there like a few nights.
They came to Calgary a year later.
Yeah, but and they showed me some clips from that show, and it just looks crazy. I love that Wavves deliberately chooses to play some smaller venues sometimes, just to pack people into these these venues. Because I feel like they could play larger venues if they wanted to, but I've seen a lot of times where they kind of pick more like indie, like theaters, and they just have a bunch of people in there, and it's sweaty and crazy and really intimate performances.
And they're one of the few bands that will still let audience members hop up on stage to stage dive during the performances.
Oh yeah,
because most bands will have a big barrier and you can't get up there, but you can hop up on stage to stage dive.
Oh yeah.
So the entire time you got people jumping up and going into the audience.
Yeah.
As well as just you're gonna get tousled in a really fun way at those shows.
Not a show to go to if you're fragile.
Yeah, I used to be afraid of not mosh pits, but just being in the pit, kind of.
Yeah.
And now that I've done it, I like it. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I don't know why it's enjoyable to be pushed around
Yeah.
and all that, but it is for some reason.
Yeah, I never really
Because I'm normally not the kind of person who likes crowds.
yeah, I never really considered it, to be honest. When I first started going to shows, I wasn't really thinking about that. And then, some of the first shows that I had floor tickets, and I just started, getting shoved in the pit or like being in the the crowd. I hadn't really been thinking like, oh, I don't want to do this, or like I'm not sure. Like I just got in there and I loved it ever since. It's just like there's something about feeling music with other people.
You really feel it intensely.
Yeah,
and also it feels like such a release, and it feels like you're really diving into music.
Yeah, I think because music is so emotional and personal that when you see other people being as affected by it as you, it's just something really special to kind of experience it with them.
Yeah, I think that's why people always want to share music so much. Like I want other people to feel the same way about the songs I like that I do.
Yeah.
Like I want because it's nothing describes the way a good song can make you feel. So yeah, so I think that's why live going to concerts is so great. And then last year they put out "You're Welcome," their most recent release, which I got on blue vinyl. Very fun.
Yes, I also have it on blue vinyl.
What's your take on this record?
Well, you're welcome. I wasn't a huge fan of this one, to be honest. And it's very strange because, generally speaking, people don't like V that much and like this album more. But to me, it was the other way around.
Do people like this album more? I can't really remember.
Yeah, I think they do. I think
this got a good response.
I don't know if it had a great response, but I know it had a better response than V. At least I think so. I'm not sure. But
yeah, I like this album more than V. I love the song No Shade. Million Enemies. Hollowed Out I loved.
Yeah.
Dreams of Grandeur was actually released as a Grandeur, I know.
Grandeur.
I know. I just say that.
Yeah.
It was released as a demo with Best Coast.
Yeah.
Which I had before this album came out, so it was kind of cool to hear the demo, and then the year later you hear the real track.
Right. I don't know. It just seemed a little, to me, not overproduced in like the general sense, but overproduced for Wavves.
Really?
I just didn't
I thought it sounded more messy.
Not as messy as V.
It almost has elements of like GarageBand again, I thought.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I don't
know. Maybe not overproduced is the right word. I think
you just don't like the production.
Synthesized. I just don't like the production. It just sounded faker to me. You know, like the song. Is it Daisy? Yeah, the song Daisy. I like the song.
It did have that weird like
yeah.
Like
I don't know what it is.
What would the word be?
Sounded kind of forced to me, but
yeah, it did have some of that. It did have a few elements of edited.
Yeah.
Because like at the beginning of that song, it does that drum part. That.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just sounds.
Yeah.
Put together in a editing software, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I do get where you're coming from.
But that being said, I did enjoy the album. Like that just because I said I didn't enjoy it as much as V doesn't mean I didn't like it. I still really like this album. I think it's good.
It does have the same problem of feeling a little like it was rushed. It did come out really quick after V as well, so it doesn't feel like he put as much time into this as previous albums.
Right.
And I'm just looking at the songs I have downloaded. I only have a couple off this album because some of them I just didn't like enough to even save on my phone.
Right.
But yeah.
When do you know what month this album came out in 2017?
I believe May.
Okay.
Because I remember listening to it at the beginning of last summer.
So I'm trying to gauge when their next release would be then.
Probably not till 2019.
Yeah.
I really hope he takes his time with this next album. I'm really excited to hear future stuff, but it would be nice for him to really work hard on making another quality album again.
There's also certain bands that I like want to stick to form and not really experiment too much because I think their music's just better if they go with what they do. Like, for example, Weezer. Like, I wish Weezer would just do what they're good at and not try and experiment with pop or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But Wavves is one of those bands that I wouldn't mind hearing other things.
Yeah.
Because like we've got a lot of very garage punky albums, which of course is their core, but I wouldn't mind hearing something a little off of that. Maybe like bringing in some like more grunge elements like they've done, or just experimenting with that. Like I just wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
I mean it would be excited to
I
hear
mean, it
what
did seem
other stuff
that
they'd make would sound like.
it did seem like they were going that way, like up until V. It did kind of seem like they were evolving,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason, these last two records just kind of feel like they've kind of stagnated.
Like they plateaued,
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah.
And I hope not, because it's still early in their career. Like it feels like they should
Yeah.
have another great release,
Yeah.
but they are 6 albums in.
Yeah.
So who
Even though
knows?
they're 6 albums in, I still feel like,
They've been a band for 10 years now.
yeah, I still feel like Wavves still has the potential to make some really big hits.
Mhm.
Like they're big, but they haven't had, that one song that's going to be played incessantly on the radio 20 years from now.
Yeah.
like Smashing Pumpkins 1979.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Wavves is capable of making a song like that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they
But
did.
in a way that it wouldn't be making some like radio friendly poppy song. I just think they have the ability to just make songs that people are going to want to hear for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Not as much in the sense of, writing some radio single. But also, as I mentioned earlier, going back to the Afraid of Heights record, there's so many lyrics in that record that are Nirvana lyrics. And it's so obvious that he was in a Nirvana phase.
Yeah.
Because as I said, in the Life Sucks album, he goes down a grungier route, and that
Mhm.
continues into Afraid of Heights. There's like a line where he's like, "I was soaked in bleach,"
Yeah.
which is in Come As You Are. There's a song that sounds a lot like Something in the Way, on Afraid of Heights. Let me remember that one. It's almost the same chords. Everything Is My Fault is like dun, 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 kind of deal. So, well as I do like that because I love Nirvana, it is quite obvious that the influence raptured its way through.
Right.
Also, the best song off that album, Hippies is Punks, which is in GTA, was not even included on the record, which is bull because it's the best song. I think a lot of people discovered them from Grand Theft Auto
Yeah.
because they were actually radio DJs on one of those channels
Oh, really?
on the GTA game.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel like I've read that somewhere. I just forgot. But
Mhm.
yeah, I bet a lot of people discovered them through that.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about this wonderful band?
I think that's good for now.
Yeah. All right. Well, we enjoyed talking about Wavves for this short time. Hope you enjoyed listening. Drop a comment of what you think about the band, what you think about their albums, if you agreed or disagreed with anything we had to say.
Yeah, and also maybe leave a comment about what you'd like to see from them in the future. We're really excited for what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yabba dabba doo. See you next time, folks.
Thanks for watching.
Marsupial.